Hi, and welcome to Coping During the COVID Crisis. I'm Janet Gross. Keeping it together while keeping apart has pretty much become everyone's goal these days. And while we all look for the light to get brighter at the end of this stay-at-home tunnel, a lot of us can use a little help along the way. The University of Holy Cross is sharing its resources to reach out to people who might need some counseling or maybe just somebody to talk to. And actually, the university has been on the forefront of this, being there with telemental health in a big way for a while. Dr. Roy Salgado, professor of counseling at the University of Holy Cross, joins us to talk about this and what it might mean to you.
It's my pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
You know, this is something that a lot of people can take advantage of, and I'm going to have you, in a previous episode, we did talk about the details, but if you can give us kind of a concise explanation of the service and how it can help.
Well, individuals, if they're finding that they can't manage certain symptoms on their own, and they're going through this for several weeks now, and they can't find any relief with regard to thoughts that they may be having, or emotions that they're experiencing, or physiological symptoms that are masking themselves as one thing and could potentially be something else, then they can perhaps use the benefit of some professional help. So we're there available to offer these resources to individuals in our community to call and set up an appointment and see if perhaps it's something that mental health services through telebehavioral health services could be of benefit to them.
And obviously, the counseling department and everything at the University of Holy Cross is huge, and it has a big impact in the society, even when there isn't, this changing world.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the Thomas.
Sure. Well, the Thomas E. Chambers Counseling and Training Center has been there for over 20 years. It's been offering face-to-face counseling services to members of the community for some time. We've transitioned in the past several weeks to that of telemental health. So the services are still there 100%. There hasn't been one day of interruption. We went straight from providing your typical day-to-day face-to-face day service to that of telebehavioral health.
Okay, and this is something that it was affordable, and it was,
right.
But now it's really affordable.
Right, that's true. There was a nominal fee before. People could call in and set up an appointment and show up for the face-to-face service for a nominal fee, $20 a session, which is a bargain for mental health services. And now it's completely free of charge. It's part of the mission of the university to provide continuity of care to the members of the community, as well as to any new client who might be interested in receiving benefits, receiving services rather.
And these are grad students, they're doctoral students, master's level, who have been trained and are training.
Yes, they're master's and doctoral level students, and the master's level students have received all of the training that they need to be able to render this type of service, and now they're in the clinical formation of their service. They're in the practicum and internship component, which is 700 hours of clinical work that is a requisite in order to graduate with a master's degree. Those in the doctoral program already have a master's degree. Many of them have licenses already, and they're getting an advanced degree to add to their already terminal knowledge of psychological and counseling services.
So this would be something they would be doing anyway as doctoral students, as master's level students. This is something that happens all the time anyway.
It happens all the time, and it's part of their clinical practice, part of their formation as professionals in this field. And it's just simply transitioned from that of face-to-face to that of telebehavioral health.
And there are, help. There is help for them even if they run into something that, may require something.
Yes, they receive consistent supervision. Even in typical circumstances, supervision is a big component of their training. And so there's faculty there with years of experience in their specific areas of expertise, providing that supervision to the counselors in training. Now, that supervision continues. It's just done through a distance educational format. There's distance supervision, distance counseling, but it's all still taking place, only with guidelines that are set in place when one is doing it from afar.
And it's easy to do. You call, you set up, you get a call back, is it?
Sure. You just simply call the Thomas E. Chambers Counseling and Training Center, and the administrative assistant takes the call and triages that call to the clinical director. The clinical director takes that information, provides it to, or assigns it to a counselor in training, and that counselor returns the call and begins to set up the initial intake session and the follow-up sessions.
Okay, and they're about 50 minutes long for a typical session.
A typical 50-minute session.
Can you do a shorter session? Did I read somewhere that there might be shorter sessions as
Sure,
well?
there are some sessions that are typically maybe 25 minutes long, 45 minutes long. School counselors in particular tend to have 25-minute sessions within the school setting because there's so many students. You can't, see every student for 50 minutes every week. So in a school situation, typically 25 minutes. And also developmentally, younger children don't necessarily respond to a full 50-minute session. 25 minutes perhaps is sufficient. But there are 45-minute sessions or 30-minute sessions for specific situations, just to touch base, just to make sure that things are where they need to be in terms of your own well-being.
Okay. So there, we've talked about this off the air, but this is what some have called the greatest or the most inclusive world experiment in, psychological behavior and health and all those.
And what an experiment it is, right?
I mean, because everybody's involved. Everybody goes through something. Whatever it is, you're going through something. Right. Whether it's
us here in New Orleans or people in other countries around the world, we're all experiencing the same thing. And this is very interesting because we're human beings, and culturally perhaps we are very diverse and very different in the way we express our beliefs and our behaviors and the way we do our daily rituals. But when it comes to our emotionality, when it comes to what we feel, we all get happy, we all get sad, we all get glad, we all get scared, and we're all experiencing this at the same time. All 7.5 billion people are experiencing some form of stress, anxiety, and fear at the same time, and for the same circumstance. This pandemic has, in many ways, really taught us about the universality of what it is to experience, being human.
It really is difficult. When you call people across the United States or even out of the country and you're talking to them, it's the same topic.
Absolutely.
It's the same topic. Different
Absolutely.
ways of handling it, but
Yes.
different. That's we were talking also about like the moments that we used to be able to grieve together or to find comfort from each other is not really happening. Can't always happen like that anymore. Funerals.
And that's a challenge. There are individuals who have expressed that in at least sessions with me, with clients that I have had, who have expressed having lost someone, and not necessarily due to COVID. There's people who have lost people due to COVID, but just natural circumstances, and not being able to go to a funeral.
Or the people who you see them in the pictures of outside of a nursing home window,
right.
Just looking in at their loved one.
Right.
That's got to be a sense of guilt, a sense of just total sadness.
Yeah. And they do express that guilt. They do express that sadness and that loss of control, that inability to be able to do anything about it. Despite your best efforts and desires to want to do something, that control that is simply not there is unsettling and disheartening and disappointing for many people.
Yeah, hard to get through,
Yes.
as many things are these days.
Yes.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to bring in one of your colleagues to talk more about what they're seeing as this service to the community through the University of Holy Cross helps different people around the community.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Welcome back to Coping During the COVID Crisis. And we're going to zoom in Dr. Ryan White, who is a director of the Thomas E. Chambers Counseling and Training Center at the University of Holy Cross, just to talk about some of the things that are happening at the center and about the program we've just talked about. Dr. White, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much for joining us and for being a part of this. Dr. Salgado has been helping us along learning about the service, but tell us, how has the adjustment gone from being face-to-face to totally either telemental or teleconferencing or whatever, on the phone?
Well, certainly there have been challenges. It's an uncertain time and it's an uncertain and new novel mode for most of our students. Dr. Salgado was kind enough to give the telemental health training to our interns on campus, and I've been impressed by their adaptability and their willingness to try out this new mode of counseling so that we can continue to serve our clients.
What are some of the issues that people are bringing up? You've had a couple of weeks now with it, or several weeks. How is it, are there certain topics that come up more frequently? Can you detect a certain level of stress in different areas?
Oh, certainly. So as I mentioned, it's an uncertain time, and that uncertainty, that loss of normalcy and routine for people has stirred up feelings of anxiety, of depression, worry and concern over their health, over the health of family and friends, job security, financial security. All of that has been stirred up in the clients in the community. And also feelings of loneliness and isolation from these stay-at-home orders.
Yeah, and we don't know how long that's going to continue. So really, when you think about it, there is no control over that. So it kind of adds to the whole heightened stress situation.
Right, because from day to day, we don't know what today's going to look like, what tomorrow's going to look like, next week or next month even. So,
right. Or now they're talking, we don't even know what it's going to look like in the fall.
Right.
You know, it's
and that uncertainty is unsettling for many of us, for all of us.
Is it? I mean, I'm sure that even the grad students, the doctoral students, they're all facing it too. So we're all kind of in this together. It's got to be a challenge for them as well.
Certainly, and we're all doing the best that we can to support each other during these difficult times. I mean, as our students are serving the needs of the community, they too have their own struggles, and they have faculty, they have supervisors, and they have their own counselors who are there to try and help them maintain their own stability as best they can.
Are you seeing that this might be something that carries on into the future and more prevalent, I guess, than it was pre-COVID?
Do you mean the telecounseling?
Yes, the telecounseling.
I do suspect that it is the way of the future for many people, yes.
Do you find that it's easier for them? Are they more willing to try it? What kind of reaction are you getting from clients?
It's easier for some and more difficult for others, which often has to do with socioeconomic status and their circumstances. For the people who have access to computers, to email, to smartphones, certainly it's more convenient to be able to have counseling at a distance. But for some of our clients, I think it would be easier if they were able to just take a bus to an office and have a face-to-face visit. So it varies from person to person.
Is that because of a relationship that forms between the client and the counselor, do you think, or just more of that personal interaction?
I think mostly it comes to a matter of convenience. I hope that good therapeutic relationships are still being forged between our students and the clients, even when they're over a distance.
You know, and I would add to that generationally, there are segments of the population that are already used to engaging online through video gaming, through just communicating with people through the computer screen in the first place. And we've all heard of, younger generations, of generations Z and Y, just being adapted to this. It's the rest of us that are, coming into it at a later date. There's digital natives, that they're just used to technology, and perhaps the rest of us are joining them along in that effort.
And I guess it depending on the age of the client then, or really the circumstances,
Right.
because you can't judge on age
No,
anymore
you
because
can't.
people
You
are,
can't. Right.
very techno-savvy in any
Right.
age. But I imagine it is certainly their particular environment, as you said, that would translate better to a face-to-face.
Sure.
It's
sure.
like a friend, like you're talking to a friend.
Yeah. There's certain people that just adapt to circumstances differently, and there's a learning curve. And so, there's some individuals that are just more comfortable in a face-to-face situation. Others perhaps are more comfortable in a distance situation. So, to Dr. White's point, I think that it's here to stay, but it's going to be both and. People will both want to receive face-to-face counseling services, and others will want to receive telemental health services.
How is with grad students, are they running into things that are challenging, which I guess you would expect at these times and any time, but how can they handle that? Do they, put them on hold? What happens if you're a client and you come to a counselor? What is the assurance that there is the knowledge, the training, the backup that they might need?
Well, the assurance is all of us and the faculty, the supervisors of the students. Myself especially, I am on call the entire time that the center is open. So if a student runs into a situation that is beyond them to handle and a client is in very strong need of more experienced intervention, they can call me and merge me into the Zoom call or the phone call, and I will take things from there, or another supervisor or another faculty member like Dr. Salgado will take things from there.
Overall, this seems to be working smoothly?
So far, it seems so, yes.
That's good. All right, Dr. White, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, and thank you, Dr. Salgado, for pitching in here. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the service, and we're actually going to talk to one of the graduate students who is taking calls. Stay with us.
The Willwoods community prays for the safety of healthcare workers, and we thank them all for their dedication and service during this COVID-19 pandemic.
To those on the front lines in hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, and testing centers, we thank you. We thank you for answering the call. The stakes are high and the challenges innumerable, with harsh conditions and no second chances. Yet our doctors, nurses, technicians, transporters, EMTs, pharmacists, and everyone who supports patient care are rising to the occasion, healing and caring for the most vulnerable in our community. You are our heroes. Thank you for the sacrifices you make every day, and especially during this pandemic. Your dedication, commitment, and courage deserve our deepest gratitude and admiration. It's with your help we will all get through this.
Welcome back to Coping During the COVID Crisis. And we're going to bring in a graduate student who is actually working in the service of providing counseling from the University of Holy Cross and their training program that we've been talking about. Jamal Bodine, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Coming on board with this. I know that this is an invaluable experience for you, certainly, while you're also offering a free service to others. So tell us how that is working for you.
It's been a very rewarding experience. The transition happened pretty quickly with the crisis taking place, and our professors has really trained us to be ready for crisis. We go to school to be ready for crisis and to deal with them as counselors. We learned over the years as counselors to be flexible, and this has really tested our flexibility skills. So it's been rewarding for me as a student getting ready to graduate, having that experience face to face, and now getting the extra experience of being able to do online counseling. Because the world is changing so quickly and technology is becoming a big part of it. So this has been a rewarding experience for me be able to be a part of completing the mission of Holy Cross and the mission of the Counseling Center, which is showing compassion to our community and helping out in any way we can.
So when you're doing the face-to-face online, or even just just by telephone, are you able to create a relationship like you did before when you were seeing people face-to-face? Is that
yes?
difficult?
Some of the clients that we're seeing are some old clients that we were seeing at the center face-to-face, and our new clients, we are able to utilize the Zoom app. So we are able to see them on Zoom as well. Over the phone is a little different because we can't see those nonverbals of what's going on, but Zoom is still that same connection and relationship that we're building. Because that therapeutic relationship is so important when it comes to counseling. So a little different, but it still works.
Are you spending a lot of time doing this? A lot of clients, I'm sure that as this grows, there will be more and more people who are like, I need somebody to talk to. Is your schedule full?
Pretty much, schedule is pretty full. We're still doing online classes, but we're managing, our time, and we have so much support and guidance from our professors and our supervisors to get us through this process and training. So our schedules are pretty full, but we are making it work. We're making it work.
Now, you had to make that transition. You had to go through a couple of days of training to meet state guidelines and all of that. Was that kind of a, whoa, here we go, we're getting on the roller coaster?
Yes, ma'am. That's where that flexibility came into part. By Wednesday, we were getting the email that we were having a mandatory meeting and training on Friday and Saturday. So we had to prepare to participate in this training to be able to not abandon our clients and be able to help people who's going to be struggling during these trying times. And that's what we went to school for. This is our job. This is what we were trained to do. So that training did hit us out of nowhere, but we were ready and we were prepared, and everybody showed up and did what they had to do. Dr. Morris and Dr. Salgado did a great job on presenting and giving us the information that we need to make this telecounseling and telemental health thing work.
Do you think this may not have been your vision of what this was when you started several years ago in this field, but do you think that this is going to skew more toward telemental?
Yes, ma'am. I would have never dreamed that we would be at this point. It was kind of out of nowhere, but it's needed. It came right on time. I think that, as the world transitioned and as things start happening that we're not expecting, online counseling and over the phone counseling is going to be needed in this new era, what we call of the world, because so much is happening, so much is changing, and we have to be ready to change with it.
Okay, Jamal, thank you so much. Jamal Bodine, and congratulations. I understand that you are graduating this year, so that's excellent. Congratulations.
So proud of our students.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you for joining us. Great representative, if that's...
Absolutely, so proud of our students. And Jamal, like many of our students, are just phenomenal professionals, top-notch individuals to begin with, and then top-notch professionals when they graduate from our program.
Now, he seems to be handling it really well, too. I mean, just next thing.
They juggle everything. They juggle, their personal lives, their academics, their career, and all of the things that come with that. And they do it with grace and elegance, and I'm very proud of them.
Is there a little bit of fear or a little bit of nervousness, do you think, when this started? Could you see that? A little bit of, okay, here we go.
Certainly. I was fearful. I was anxious. It was, on March 11th, we had these meetings that popped out of nowhere saying, we need to take action. There's stuff that's going to be happening in the next couple of days. We need to do something. So yes, we had to just take that breath and just regroup and figure out what do we do for tomorrow. And, fortunately, as a team, everyone came together, from our president at the University of Holy Cross to our dean, Dr. Carolyn White, to the director, Dr. Ryan White, and all of the faculty and students just came together, pulled together, and we're able to continue to provide this continuity of care to our community.
So if we're talking about, all these people calling in, different issues, things like that, and everybody does have different issues, but certainly many of them are the same. The lack of, physical contact or, social contact,
Right.
the going out, the getting out of the house, the
Right.
too many people when there's only just two of you and there's
Right.
still too many people in the house.
Right.
So how, maybe you have some tips on helping us through this to kind of some takeaway issues for today.
For our families in particular, there's a whole new normal with children in the house, parents being charged with being their teachers and being their coaches and just being their pastors and their religious leaders, all rolled into one within their homes. And so just creating structure and continuity. We can't have Monday turning into Tuesday into Wednesday and every day looking the same. Children thrive when there's safety and security, when they know what to expect, when there's routine. So just establishing that routine, creating that safe space, that safe environment and security is crucial to providing that care. With regard to that, having meals with your children. This is a great opportunity to sit at the table once again. We have kind of gone away from that, running away, with going to soccer practice and piano lessons and karate and all this kind of stuff. that's not happening in the same way right now. So just being able to stay home and prepare a meal and all sitting at the table at the same time, that's beneficial.
Sometimes they can help prepare the meals.
Absolutely. They could absolutely help prepare the meals. Playing with one another, having opportunity to go into your kids' room, looking at the toys that they have, playing with them, playing video games with them, going out to the backyard, throwing the ball, spending time in a way that perhaps we haven't in a few years, and reading to your children, especially for the little ones, reading to them. It's that way they can continue to develop that vocabulary and be able to express themselves. When children are read to, they're able to articulate more readily what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, and you can get some insight through just having meals with your kids, playing with your kids, reading to your kids, have some insight as to what they're going through and how they're experiencing this whole pandemic.
And I want to end the show by saying, and always make some time for yourself, because if you, I need some space, and I know a lot of people do too.
It's very important.
So,
It's that whole adage of, when you're in an airplane, that you have to put the oxygen mask on in order to, before you put it on to someone else. You have to take care of yourself. You have to make that space for yourself.
Or you're not going to help them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dr. Roy Salgado, thank you very much for joining us and for helping us talk through this, the episodes that everybody is going through in these show episodes. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
We're going to have another one, and we'll talk more about couples and families, some issues like that. So we want to let you know that we are here for you during this coping during the COVID crisis. Thanks for joining us.